Hello and welcome to the operational case study strategic analysis for the May 2019 operational case study exam, where the pre-seen company is VitaMine. My name is James Nutting and I do the OCS course here at Astranti. You may recognize my voice from the pre-seen analysis video series. If so, welcome back to the strategic analysis. It's good to see you. If you are joining us for the first time, I am still James Nutting and I still do the OCS course at Astranti. If you haven't checked out the pre-seen analysis, it is well worth having a look at to get a deeper understanding of the pre-seen. But enough of that. This video is about a strategic analysis of VitaMine. So what exactly does that cover? Well, we'll start with a quick introduction to the case, the company we've been dealing with, to summarize some of the key ideas and to give us some context. So as you probably know by now, the company we are dealing with is called VitaMine, or that's how I've been pronouncing it at least, and that's what I'm going to stick with. It's a fast-growing manufacturer of vitamins, minerals and supplements. So this is the industry we're working with, vitamins, minerals and supplements, abbreviated frequently to VMS. They are based in Iceland, which is in Southeast Asia, so somewhere a bit different. In previous operational case study pre-scenes, we usually get a company based in Europe. Not always though, and in this case we've gone for Iceland in Southeast Asia, so some differences in terms of geography to be aware of, and we'll talk about those as we go through the analysis. The company was founded 17 years ago in 2002 by the existing 4 directors. So the 4 directors are not only the directors, but they are the owners of the company. It's an owner-managed company, and each manager holds equal shares of the company. And we will be looking at governance in this strategic analysis to addressing some concerns potentially with that. The company has experienced a rapid growth and recently earned revenue of $31.9 million, an increase of nearly 50% on the previous year. So very impressive growth. Although, of course, having looked at the pre-seen and maybe the pre-seen videos, we know that the entire industry is experiencing pretty strong growth at the moment too. Okay, so all of that should be familiar to you by this stage. If you haven't even flicked through the pre-seen yet, I would advise that you do so to get at least some basis of an understanding of the company and the industry before going into a strategic analysis. Because although this analysis is designed to be useful to anyone unfamiliar with the company, there will be some kind of assumption in your knowledge of the particular aspects of the company as discussed in the pre-seen. So this strategic analysis is going to use the rational model. You may not have come across the rational model before, and that's because it's not actually part of the syllabus in any of the operational level papers. It comes in at a higher level, perhaps E2 or E3. The rational model is a tool that we can use to do a strategic analysis, and it's kind of summarized in this model here. So the idea is that there's kind of 3 aspects to the analysis. And so we'll look at those in turn. So although you may be tempted to start over here, we're actually going to start here in the future. And the idea here is to get an idea of where we want the company to be in the future, maybe in the next 12 months, in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, depending on the kind of nature of the strategic analysis. So we're going to be taking a kind of medium-term view. We're most interested in what they're going to be doing in the next 12 months, but obviously an understanding of what's going on in the next 5 years will inform what we need to do in the next 12 months. So we'll be thinking a few years ahead. And the key things we think about: missions and objectives. So is there a mission? Are there clear missions and objectives in the company that will inform where the company needs to be in the future? And then we look at these other sort of points that are shown pointing to the future. So critical success factors, identifying and understanding the critical success factors of the company. A stakeholder mapping using Mendelow's matrix, making sure we know where our stakeholders are so we know how to treat them with regards to decision making. We also need to look at governance and ethics. So what ethical sort of policies the company need to adopt to ensure that they get to where they want to be in the future. So that's sort of section 1. We look at all these kind of models and do our analysis there. And then we look at where the company is now to get an understanding of exactly what the position of the company is as we speak. And there are a number of models we used to do that. One of them is Pestle, to understand the business environment. We'll do a sort of market analysis, looking at the brand and the 4 Ps of the marketing mix. We'll also look at Porter's value chain to get an understanding of how the company adds value or subtracts non-value adding activities from each of their core activities. And the idea is, once we know where we want the company to be in the future, once we know where the company is now, we can develop a business strategy by conducting a SWOT analysis, SWOT being strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And once we've come up with our SWOT, we can develop a business strategy that effectively acts as the bridge between where the company is now and where they're going to be in the future. I drew an arrow basically on top of that arrow, which was quite unnecessary. So the idea, the ultimate goal, is to have a business strategy that takes us from where we are now to where we want to be in the future. And that business strategy is useful to us as people sitting the operational case study. Well, I'm not sitting it, but you will be. It will be useful to you as people sitting the case study exam, because a business strategy, if you've got a clear strategy at the top, then that will inform any kind of decision making, analysis, evaluation that you have to do in the exam, so that when you're giving your answers, you know what kind of things to suggest and what things to not suggest, because you have an idea of what the company should be trying to achieve in the long term. Okay, so that's the structure of this video. That's what we're going to be doing. And though you may not be familiar with the rational planning model, you should be familiar with pretty much all of the models we'll use in the analysis. And certainly stakeholder mapping, value chain, 4 Ps, Pestle, SWOT, those are things you should be familiar with from E1. So you should be fairly comfortable with the kind of level of analysis that we're doing in this video. So first up then, we are going to be looking at the future, where VitaMine intend to be in the future. And these are the key sort of models and theory we're going to be looking at to do this. So first up, we look at the company's mission. So this is all about understanding what the organization is all about, why it exists, for whom does it exist, what are they trying to achieve. The point of a mission is to answer these questions so everyone at the company knows what the overall goal of the business is, so you can kind of align your work, what you do at the company, with the company's mission and their objectives. So missions provide a common purpose. Again, this is all material, the theory you should be familiar with, because mission statements are part of E1 after all. So we won't focus too much on the theory. I assume you're fairly comfortable with it. And really, it's just straightforward, because we're going to assess the company, or we're going to try and understand a company's mission by using the sort of Campbell's model. So the key elements of good mission statements is that they cover the purpose of the organization, so why it exists and what it hopes to achieve, how they're going to compete, so looking at the strategy, what the company's values are, and what the company's policies are. Now, obviously, there is no mission specifically given in the pre-scene. What we're trying to do is infer one from the information we have been given, and, you know, we'll do the best we can with that. So starting with purpose, why does the organization exist and for whom does it exist? Well, when we talk about that, we could be kind of obvious and say, well, it exists for the owners to get a return on their investment as owners of the business. Well, that's not quite what we mean by the purpose. We're more interested in the kind of customers and consumers who are going to be engaging with the business. So the idea is that VitaMine are providing vitamins, minerals and supplements to health-conscious consumers at the moment, at least anyway. We might change that in the future to just general consumers who aren't necessarily health conscious, who just need the vitamins. But at the moment, that does seem to be more of a specific focus on health conscious consumers given the state or the nature of the industry as it stands at the moment. So that's why they exist. What are they hoping to achieve in the long term? Again, we are just inferring this. Perhaps they want to be a leading provider. One of the leading providers. We know it's a fragmented industry at the moment. Fragmented marketplace, lots of smaller competitors. No single competitor has a major proportion of market share. So maybe the long-term goal is to become a major sort of competitor, to have the market share, the majority of the market share in the industry. We know that they're interested in quality. They have a reputation for quality, so perhaps they want to be the top quality provider and immediately recognized as the quality provider of vitamins, minerals, and supplements in the industry. Perhaps they have more specific sort of targets, so a certain percentage of market share. Maybe they want to have 50%, 60%, 25%, who knows? But that's why I've left it blank, because we can infer a bit, but we don't want to put words in their mouth. Obviously, they want to achieve growth and continue to grow over the future as the industry is growing and it allows for growth in companies. Company strategy. How will the organization compete? What are the range of businesses it is operating within? Well, it's just really operating within the VMS industry. It's in manufacturing. We do know they retail and they also sell unlabeled goods to other manufacturers. But the key thing here is quality. Excellent quality is kind of what they're trying to do to stand out from the other competition. They've got a reputation for quality. They've recently invested in a state-of-the-art manufacturing facility. We know at least in the capsule production process, there are quality inspections at pretty much every stage of the production process. So quality is really important to them, and keeping that quality in products is going to be how they compete with other competitors who perhaps are less concerned with quality. Maybe they're concerned with price or other things. Another thing is a varied product range. We have at VitaMine 3 different product formats, and we have 4 different types of products, and there's kind of a matrix. So everything, all the different products are sold as vitamins and capsules. Slightly less are sold as liquids and sprays, and again, slightly less sold as creams and gels. So they're trying to have a varied product range. Perhaps they're going to expand that more. There is a hint in the pre-scene that the company are interested in expanding their product range, and whether that means providing the same product range in different formats, whether it's completely new kinds of products, that's unclear at this stage, but certainly a likely exam issue. Values. What does a company stand for? Well, we know they stand for quality. Obviously, we've already sort of talked about that. Safety is another one as well. So safety of staff in production, of course, but the safety of their products for consumers. That's something that is explicitly mentioned a few times in the pre-scene. Not necessarily by the company, but in the articles at the end of the pre-scene, there is mention of the potential dangers of sort of overconsumption of certain vitamins, perhaps the lack of effectiveness of vitamins, and sort of certainly the overconsumption having a negative effect on a person's health. That could be a key issue. So the safety of the company's products needs to be a key value for them too. In terms of policies people are expected to follow, which ensure people act according to the defined values and purpose. Again, there's no real mention of policies. It's harder to infer what policies would be, but it would be perhaps a policy with suppliers. So perhaps they have a policy where they only source the best quality materials or raw materials from suppliers. Something like that we might be looking for. Or quality inspections. Obviously, we know, as I mentioned earlier, there is quality inspections at pretty much every stage of the manufacture of capsuled products. So those quality inspections could be sort of a policy. That might be more of a value. Again, it's kind of hard to infer policies. So just before we finish, I'd like to take you through some of the products we offer in the entire case study course. So this is just one element of the whole course, and I'll just go through the other things that we offer here. So to start with, we have a study text that is devoted to the operational case study, and that's split into 2 parts. The first part is a guide to how to pass the case study exam. It's full of exam tips, exam strategy, time management, preparation and planning, how to write to the marking criteria, all those kinds of things. And then part 2 of that study text is a condensed version of all the relevant material of the kind of things that come up in the exam over and over. So essentially it's the most popular topics that have come up in past exams from E1, P1 and F1. And so those are the 2 study texts available for the operational case study course. And we also do course videos that are roughly based around that first study text. So the exam advice and the timing, the planning, all the things that go in to preparing an exam strategy. We have an entire series of videos that go through that in detail. So if you're more of a visual learner rather than a reader, you can check those out and they'll be a great help in getting you past the exams. The pre-scene analysis is the series of 6 videos where we look through the actual pre-scene in minute detail, going through every paragraph, making notes and looking how we can use this information to better prepare for the exam when the exam comes up. Separate from that is an industry analysis, and that is a document and a video as well. So the 2 are in tandem, and the document is about 100 pages looking at the industry in which the company exists. So for example, if the case company is in the car and they're a car manufacturer, then the industry analysis would be an analysis of the car industry. And that's like I say, that's a large document where we break it down, and we're essentially, the point of that is we're doing the research for you to save you time and energy. And the really great thing about the industry analysis is that we include 25 industry examples at the end. So things that happened in the real industry. So the example I just used, it being the car industry. If we were doing the car industry, we'd take 25 examples from the car industry of relevant news and things that have happened to companies and to the industry and consumers or whatever it is. As when we get from those 25 examples, we write a little exam paragraph, the kind of thing that you can literally rehearse and put it in your exam if it's relevant. Examiners do like to see that you have a wider industry knowledge, and so putting in a little example like that can get you good marks. We do mock exams. For the operational case study, we write 3 mock exams, and we have a free mini mock that you can do that are based on the actual CIMA style case study. So they're computer based, they're online, and they're timed, and it's as close to the real thing as we can possibly make it. And that's a really good way to prepare you for the exam. Each time we write our questions based on the pre-scene that's just been released. And with those mock exams, you can get marking and feedback, and that's really essential for you to, if you do your mock exams, I would recommend also getting marking and feedback, because you can then see where you went wrong or what you did well. And the feedback allows you to improve on that. Really important part that a lot of students skip over, and they really struggle in the exam because they weren't prepared, they hadn't done the mock exams. We have masterclasses that run over a course of 2 separate weekends, running up to the exam, and they're essentially a live online class webinar where our tutor will go through with you the kind of a revision one where we're recapping on the most important topics from the E1, P1 and F1 syllabus, and one will be sort of more exam focused. And then finally, we offer pass guarantee, which means that if you meet all the requirements, so you use all these different products that are available, and you fill in a checklist to say that you've done those, but you still don't pass your exam, you're unfortunate or whatever, then we will allow you to resit our course, to take our course again at no extra charge. That's really great for people who are perhaps taking it for the first time and they don't quite pass, but they need to take the course again. If you've gone through that scheme and you've done everything that we ask you to do, then we'll give you the course again for free.